Hey guys, we've got Leah Michelle and Kansas Matt coming at you for Resistance Chicks. It is January 28th, 2017. We're kind of covering our March for Life stuff the day later because we've been kind of busy.
So I really wanted Matt to show you something that meant a lot to him, and so he sent it to me several years back, and it's so special, and it's so special. So you want to show him?
Well, I was at the state fair in Kansas and Hutchinson, and the pro-life people were there, and they're giving out these little cards, and these 12-week-old little baby fetus.
I don't know, I might have to focus it in. Sorry, real deal. We don't have a... Here, bring it in, Maddie. We don't have a cameraman. There it is.
It's really, small. It fits in the palm of your hand.
Right. Really itty-bitty.
And it's kind of a rubbery, flexible silicone type
Right.
baby, so it feels like or you'd assume a real baby would feel like and look like, and anybody that obviously Christians and farmers, you can really identify with that being a baby, even it's 12 weeks, because when you look at your livestock out there in the field and you see a goat or a cow or a pig or something, you know that there are babies in there, and it really brings it to life. It's really a tangible thing. It's not just something that, I can choose. I can just make a decision on,
Right.
Do you want to show him the card and maybe start reading how there's so many things to life that we don't even know.
Yeah, and Leah keeps it stored in this eyeglass case, and to me it just kind of looks like a little casket.
Which is so sad. We shouldn't be talking about caskets for,
But, they shouldn't obviously make caskets as small, but obviously we've had, how many of them now?
58 million.
58 million with an M. That's a pretty big number. But it says on it has a picture of it, and it says, "Precious one, some people think that life began at birth, but life's journey began long before I was born." And then it says that, in really small print, obviously. Week 1, conception, baby smaller than a grain of sugar, but the instructions are present for all this person will ever become.
Wow.
Week 2, the baby attaches and burrows securely into the wall of its mother's womb.
Safe.
Week 3, the baby's blood vessels and sex cells form foundations of the brain, spinal cord, and nervous systems are laid. Week 4, the baby's heart has begun to beat, eyes, ears, and lungs begin to form. Week 5, tiny arms and legs appear, as well as the baby's face, and the baby's blood is now separate from the mother's.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty
wild.
Yeah, pretty exciting. And week 7, buds of the baby's milk teeth appear. 99% of the muscles are present, and brain activity is detectable.
Brain activity!
Week 8, the baby begins spontaneous movement and is now well proportioned, about the size of a
Moving
thumb.
around, moving, shaking. In there.
Every organ is present,
Baking.
but immature. The skull, elbows, and knees are forming. Week 9, if prodded, the hands and eyelids close. The genitalia become visible, indicating whether the baby is a boy or a girl. Muscular movement begins. And week 10, the baby's fingerprints begin to form. Nerve and muscle connections are tripled. Eyelids fuse together temporarily to protect the baby's delicate developing eyes. Week 11, the baby practices breathing and facial expressions, even smiling. The baby can also urinate, and stomach muscles can contract. Week 12, the baby is now 3 inches in length and weighs 2 ounces of fine hair on the face. The baby is able to swallow and feels and responds to skin stimulation.
It responds to
a website
skin
and a phone number.
stimulation. You had a really cool revelation a little bit about the eyes earlier.
Well, it just kind of reminds me of how, when God closes, then fuses the eyelid shut temporarily while the eyes are forming, it kind of is representative of Paul when he meets Christ, and for 3 days he couldn't see anything, and God put those blinders on his eyes, and it is kind of like God's forming those spiritual eyes so that we can see and we're aware of everything around us, because it's anyone, if you have a real coming to Christ experience and real regeneration, you should say, as Paul mentioned in the scripture, then you can really see the world for what it is, and wow, I have this relationship with my Heavenly Father, and how that really affects all my relationships on this earth. And one of the evidences of salvation is you really have a love for the brethren, and it gives you that love for the people around you and the lost people, wanting to see them come to Christ. And it really, you see people as life, not necessarily just trash or something to trample on in the world. And you can really see how the devil tries to pervert everything that God does, because the Garden of Eden, they were basically a married couple having babies, farming.
That's what they were doing.
It's pretty.
That's the
simple.
life God has for all of us.
It's pretty simple. It doesn't have to be that complicated, and anyone that really looks at that, it looks and feels just like a real baby. So you can see that the procreative act, the marital act, is for
to bring about a godly seed. God says,
yeah.
"Why have I put two together as one?" It is not for your pleasure. It is not for you to have fun. It is not for you to just be able to have somebody to lean on and talk to and have a best friend and all this stuff. Why did I bring together two as one? To bring about a godly seed. When you are a Christian, like Matt keeps talking about, it gives you this love for life, a love for the brethren, and you have to love life at its inception.
Mother Teresa said, how can there be too many babies? That's like saying there's too many flowers.
When I think about abortion, one of the first things that you read, it was the size of a grain of sugar, salt, or something like that. And I think about how everything that God does starts out so small.
Yeah, like dust and a wind,
like a tree. It starts
pollen.
out so small. And so if you treat that seed as a tree, then you will nurture it and you will care for it and you will plant it because you know what it will become.
Right.
And that's what we're missing.
So Maddie, what made you send this to me?
Well, that just showed me just the plans that God has for my life, that should He bring about that He's showing me the value of life and what it means to truly be a father, rather than just to take it flippantly. Yeah. Or a lot of people in today's day and age, it's easy to get consumed with all kinds of things and not really seek that call, I'd say. Because
Isn't that the most beautiful thing that you ever heard?
it's sometimes it's easy to say, well, I need a new hot rod or a new bass boat, and that's more important than a baby or something.
You know what though? But people make those kind of distinctions, don't they?
Yeah,
It's sad, but people do.
I don't think we're going to have that third kid because I really wanted to get that boat.
I know people who do that. I know people who have told me they've done that.
Shame on y'all.
Well, I don't know. Jesus had no place to hang his hat. He had no bed to lay his head on. So, no servants above his master. So, it shows me that, there's no sin in being poor. And what is it to gain the whole world and lose your soul? Yeah,
The love of money and the seeking after money and riches is the root of all evil. And truly, the love of money is the root of abortion.
That's very true. In our society, it really is. It's the driving force
and it's just the selfishness, where instead of men seeing themselves as that protector, provider for, their wife, then, they want to go and do their own thing. And, there's a lot of women out there too, I guess, to be fair. They've been indoctrinated into this feminist agenda that's completely contrary to the Bible, that says, well, I want to go out from any sort of godly protection or headship into society where it is dangerous.
The audience would like to speak. Mother.
Things are just so expensive.
Yeah.
You have to address that farming is perfect way because you always have food, but
Maddie would love to do
with
that.
money you'll never have enough.
Have that one, Kansas.
My mom just said things right now today are too expensive.
It is very hard to raise multiple children.
And it's not the way God planned living to be.
I mean, in the Garden of Eden, they were just growing their own food. You know, I mean, that was God's best then. That's God's best now. I mean, His increase comes from the fruit of the earth, not necessarily things that are made in factories.
You
know.
go to the doctor nowadays and you get your wellness checkups for your kids, and the doctor tells you, feed them this, feed them Pedialyte, give them this, and all that. He tells you all this stuff, and it's all like baby food and stuff like that that's manufactured, that's boxed, and you have to do this, and when to start feeding solids and all this, that and the other. And I'm telling you, it's written inside of your heart. When you become a mother, my mom has always taught me this, and Lee and I are not mothers. Kansas is not a father, but we've been ingrained that she said, when you become a mother, as soon as this life is conceived within you, God downloads inside of you
the DNA
everything that you need.
Yeah, God downloads the DNAs
to be a mother, to know, and a father, and to know when these things are. So you don't have to buy the box thing. You don't have to do the Pedialyte. All that chemicals, they're all really bad anyway.
But here's the thing. This is why we come to you as resistance chicks. And
Resistance.
did you know that this was the year of the rooster?
No.
I'm trying to tell you, it should be Resistance Rooster. I'm just saying.
So we come to you because the world is messed up. Okay, elitists, the Rockefellers of the world, the Rothschilds, they messed things up. They took us off the gold standard. And if you watch Matt's other video on a businessman, you'll realize that his family was part of the bankers stealing farms. And when you take a person's farm,
Right.
then you take away their ability to provide for themselves. And on a farm, a traditional farm, the more kids you had,
The more, it is a blessing to have children, because we know an Amish family and they have so many children, and I'm a pen pal with their oldest daughter, and the things that they can do as a group, and they love it. They literally love
but
their
if you're
life.
not on a farm, then each kid
Really
is
is
a
kind of,
burden.
it does feel like a burden.
You
And
know?
it's not that kids are just a blessing because they can do stuff. That's not it. But in our society in today's day and age, we really do just look at, what can you do for me? We're kind of a selfish society. What can this child do for me? And yes, children bring love, but on a farm, they do bring a helping hand. And it's good to teach. It's good for
and
children.
the calling of
Yeah.
parenthood, rather than saying, I want to have a kid.
Right.
You realize you're called once you get married to bring forth fruit. So, anything else you want to say, Maddie, to encourage people? I don't know, in this world that we have today, it's really difficult.
Yeah.
And I understand why people get abortions. I do.
To me, it all comes down to God's holy word, and you know, there's the world's full of lies and deceptions and false truths, but you know, the only truth is contained right there, and then that really directs you to all the keys to this life. It's really a owner's manual for your soul.
Yeah.
And keep getting the word and help those single moms.
Mike Pence said that in his speech, and it hit me so hard. That we should be
True
taking
religion
care of
and
this.
undefiled is to take care of the fatherless and the widows.
Right.
We have got to step up. We have got to create an environment where marriages are the norm, where people stay married from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Where marriages are nurtured, where life is nurtured, and where a man can win bread for his family by working hard with his own two hands, not a slave to another guy, not a slave to a corporation.
Right.
And so, as Resistance Chicks, we want to help turn the country back around again, and
Sure.
I know it is turning around again.
It
and I
is. You
am
guys should be
really,
excited. That March for
really,
Life was really something else.
excited.
If you didn't see our other video on it, go watch it right
In the
now.
vet, in abortion, things are really going to change.
Yes, they are. All right, this is Leah and Michelle and Kansas Matt signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it is not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Follow us on Twitter, like, comment, ring the bell if you want to get notifications about the videos that we put up, because you know you want to get those notifications. Subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks, and keep coming back. We'd love to hear from you guys. Be blessed today, and be excited about what God's doing in our nation, because it's a big thing.
All right.
I was cold, all alone, no place for